Welcome, everyone. Podcast of Legends and Leaders. I am Chris Zorich, and on today's show, we have a very special guest, Notre Dame legend, NFL alum with the Miami Dolphins, and not too many people have done this, the person who single-handedly beat a number one Florida State team in 1993, the Shawn Wooden. Sir, thank you very much for coming on the show.
Oh, man, thank you for being so flattering, but hey, I did not single-handedly beat.
I kind of think if you weren't there, one, we probably wouldn't have received the onside kick.
Correct.
That kind of pre-injured your knee a little bit.
Yeah.
And then we'll actually get into that because I think that's a really interesting story and a huge lesson for folks when they celebrate. So that's a whole something we're going to have a chance to get to. But first, I want to let folks know how great this is. What I've been trying to do is trying to give folks kind of a behind-the-scenes look at kind of what happens at Notre Dame and hopefully kind of talk about some big games. But I think it really helps the audience to kind of hear a little bit about kind of how you got to Notre Dame and then, kind of your journey there. We have to talk about your recruiting trip because literally to a T, everybody's recruiting trip sucked. But somehow we ended up there. It was either raining, snowing, or some crazy shit happened. And so it was just insane. So I'm sure you have a story there. But before we start to talk about your professional career and what you're doing now, I'm going to go back kind of like how you got involved in football.
It was very interesting. I was a small kid, skinny kid, only child. And I love track. Track and field was my favorite thing. I wanted to be Carl Lewis, man. I wanted to run in the Olympics. I was fast. I was always racing cars, like racing people on the streets.
Racing cars?
I would dump down. I remember, man, I was 8 years old. We lived right on the streets in Philly. And, we were right at the end of the couple houses down from the end of the block, end of the street. So, cars would come down and they'd be stopping, so I would jump down and race the car to the end of the street, man.
Oh, my God.
It was crazy.
That's hilarious. Actually, that reminds me when I was a kid, and again, running the streets of Chicago, there's a stop sign by one of our corners, and when the brown UPS trucks used to come to the neighborhood and they would stop at that corner, we would jump on the back. And then it was kind of cool to kind of see how long you go right. And then of course, for some reason, you decide to jump off and you fall and get a knot in your head and stuff like that. But I'm sorry, I just remember kind of, and we used to do that too. We used to race cars too. That's hilarious.
It's crazy, man. I mean, the things you said. So yeah, I was doing that. And I remember I was running track. And one of the coaches, I went out to a football practice with a friend of mine.
Is this in high school or grammar school?
No, this was like in junior high.
Okay.
Area. So went out, and the coach was like, "Hey, why don't you come, play on the team?" And all. I was like, "Man, my mom won't let me play. I've tried to play before. She never would let me play and everything."
Really?
He was like, "Well, all you gotta do is get her to sign this permission slip and all that stuff." So at that time, I sort of perfected my mom's signature.
Oh my God.
So I kind of maybe had, signed up. First game, man, I run for 4 touchdowns. I'm in the newspaper. My mom finds out.
No way.
Yes.
Oh my God.
I'm like, what was I thinking?
Oh my
man,
God.
She tore me up, bro. But she still let me play. But the key thing was I had to keep straight A's.
Okay. Oh, really?
Yeah,
wow.
that was the one deal that we made was, because I was an A student, so she was like, you got to keep straight A's if you're going to do this.
Wow. So now we're at that point.
She relaxed a little in high school.
I was going to say, you have to keep that. That's impressive. No wonder you made it to Notre Dame. Well, and here's a funny, again, it's just kind of interesting. Kind of like literally we grew up around the same type of parents. Mm-hmm. I didn't start playing until high school, but my freshman year, my the high school football coach saw me walking around the hallway, and he was like, "What's your name?" And I'm like, "I'm Chris." He's like, "Do you go here?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "How are you? How do I not know you?" I was the same height, but I was like 240 pounds. So as a freshman, that's kind of big. And he was like, "Have you ever played football?" I was like, "Nope." He was like, "Come here." So he gave me that same permission slip. Went home. My mom was like, "Absolutely not." And I didn't do your method until the following year, my sophomore, so I didn't play at all my freshman year.
Wow.
But I hung out with a lot of the guys on the team. Mm-hmm. And then I just wanted to be part of it because they were, guys were positive, setting goals and all that other stuff. So I asked the coach for the permission slip again. He kind of threw it at me like, "Yeah, whatever." And then like you, I kind of signed her name and then, but yeah, that's really interesting. So she literally found out about you from the paper.
Yes. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
That wasn't good. That wasn't good.
So did she not want you to get hurt? Or
it was always about getting hurt, man. It was always, I was a baby, man. I was her only child. Like I said, I was skinny, man. I was small. I was small, but I was fast. Okay. But yeah, man, I grew I remember between my 10th and the 11th grade year during the summer, I grew 6 inches. So yeah, I was short. I was small, man. Yeah, I weighed about buck 35, buck 40.
Oh my God! So around that time, was it a process where kind of high school coaches would go to these events and see? Did you get recruited in high school, or how did that work out for you?
The first people that started recruiting me was Ivy League actually. Ivy League was showed some interest in me. Okay. Like that, being right there, University of Penn and, Harvard, all those, they were interested.
Your grades were that good, huh? Okay.
And then I went to a football camp during the summer. My coach talked my mom into doing it. My mom worked 2 jobs, keep a roof over her house, single mom. Wow. So, she there was no scholarships back then for this kind of stuff. Not many people from my team would go, so I just went. I wanted to, showcase. I think I can play with these guys. I can play with these kids. I've seen kids that I played against from other schools getting these scholarship offers. So I'm like, hey, let me go up there and show what I can do. I ran the 4.35, and all of a sudden Joe Paterno was like, "Hey, come over here, son." He's like, "What's your name? What's your name?
Wow.
Why haven't we been recruiting you? Why haven't we been in touch with you?" I was like, "Sir, I don't know." And yeah, that's how I got found. I go into one of those camps.
Wow. So was it was it an organized camp, or was it okay?
It was one of those organized camps they have for high school kids to just be on campus and things like that. First time I was, at Penn State campus. I'm from Pennsylvania, so it was cool. We have family, in that area and everything. So it was pretty cool.
Wow. So going back to your mom, did your mom go to any of your high school games? Or?
Oh yeah, my mom made as many games as she could, when she was working or things like that. But I made sure, trust me, I just had that injury bug. Like you said, I just had an injury bug my whole career, and I always, I would go down and I'd be on the ground, get tackled hard or make a hard tackle and be on the ground. My biggest thing was, you got to get up because your mom will run on this field. Your mom will run
on the field. Not she's going to get up and she's going to run on the field.
She would run on the field, man. My mom was yes. That was my biggest fear when I played football in high school.
Gotta suck it up.
Hey, my leg might be falling off, my bone might be poking out of my ankle, but hey, I got to get up and get to the sideline because my mom's going to embarrass me.
That is hilarious. Well, I too, single parent family. I was the only child, so I totally understand kind of your situation. My mom didn't see any of my high school games except for my last one, where my high school coach and one of my teachers brought her to the game, and she watched the whole game like this because she thought I was going to get hurt. And then afterwards, she was like, "Wow, you're pretty good." And I was like, "Well, yeah, I got a scholarship." And she was like, "I didn't know that. That's really. I didn't realize you were so good." So then, fast forward, I get hurt. We're playing Pitt on TV, and I had that same fear that you had, right? She wasn't at the game, but Jim Russ helped me off the field, our trainer, and they were working with me on the sideline. And I made sure I was like, look, can you please tell the announcer that I'm okay because my mom is going to be worried, and I do not want her freaking out, thinking like I got really hurt or something like that, and I'll be back in the game. So literally, my mom was like, "Oh, as soon as I heard that, I knew you're okay," and I was like, "Oh my god, that's crazy." So I totally understand what you're talking about. So
they're protective, man.
Hey man, they have to be. We're their baby, So when you're looking at other schools, was there? I mean, obviously it started to increase, right? Since with this camp, was that your senior or junior year?
That was going into my junior year. Yeah.
Okay. And after that, kind of all the colleges and stuff, you started to get all the mail.
Everything started coming in. Yeah, everything started coming. You start getting, people start looking at you and everything. It's funny though, man, because Notre Dame was one of the latter people that look at me.
Are you serious?
Yeah. They came into the mix a little bit later than the other schools. Of course, later than Penn State and some of the like Pitt and things like that was in the area. But Notre Dame, because they were targeting two other running backs from Pennsylvania at the time. Okay. And my year was Kejana Carter. So, we go way back. I mean, we went on our visit at Notre Dame together, and everything. We went on our visit to Penn State together and everything. So we got to be very friendly with each other and everything. And yeah, man, they were, well, he was from Ohio, but they were from that area. They were saying, they were taking Ohio, Penn State, and they were only going to take so many running backs because I was a running back.
Okay, so outside of Notre Dame, what were your other?
My five visits were I went to Duke, I went to Georgia Tech, and the reason those two are I really wanted to be an engineer. I wanted to be an electrical engineer. I went into electrical engineering and everything, so I wanted to do that, and I knew I wanted to do that. So it was those two schools for that. Then I looked at Pitt and Penn State. Also, I think I took an unofficial visit to Syracuse as well, but it came down to, basically Penn State or Notre Dame. I'm going to tell you this, and this is the reason why I don't like Stanford to this day. And it's not because we play against them, they have been rivals to us. It's because literally they wanted me to do a 2-page essay in order to even take a visit there. And I'm like, I don't even know if I want to come here. What am I going to take?
And this is where?
This is Stanford.
No way.
They wanted me to fill out the application, everything, and basically write essays even before I even knew I was wanted to go there. I was like,
I've never heard of that before.
I said, I'm good. I'm not flying 3,000 miles. No, I'm good. I'm all right.
Well, and then I mean, you're probably thinking, how's mom's going to have a chance to check me out?
Exactly.
If she can. I mean, obviously Notre Dame is closer to Philly than Stanford is. So man. Okay, so hot and heavy, Penn State, Notre Dame. So was it a situation that Kejana Carter backed out on them, or what was the deal?
No, it wasn't. It didn't even come down to, that. It just came down to, literally, man, I made the decision. I mean, Joe Paterno put it on. He went to visit my mom at her job, at her hospital. She worked at the hospital.
Wow.
Joe Paterno comes up into the hospital in Pennsylvania, man. That was like huge. That was, people were like, hey, who was, that's Joe Paterno. Like, who's he going to go? Because my mom said she was a rock star after that, bro.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
So he put it on hot and heavy there. And, that was back, I don't know if Coach Holtz, you might have been like a big recruit, but Coach Holtz was like, well, I don't come do a house visit until after you commit. And I'm like, well,
really?
I said, you might as well take me off your list because Skip was recruiting me. Skip was recruiting me.
Okay.
I'm like, Skip, there is no way I'm going to say I'm coming to Notre Dame because my mom wasn't able to go on the visit with me.
Okay.
So I'm like, my mom hasn't seen Coach Holtz. She hasn't even spoken to this man. She's not going to. I was like, I respect my mom too much to not include her in my decision, even though it was my decision.
Sure.
She has to be comfortable with the man that's supposed to be molding me from, a boy into a man. So I'm like, nah, I can't do that to her, man. I was like, so he did come out eventually. He came out.
I was going to say, and by the way, Joe Pa came to mom's work. So
that's what I said to him. I put that little Skip. I was like, Skip, no. Joe went to my mom's job to see her.
Wow.
I was like, so I don't know, man. I said, I'm leaning more towards Penn State. But when I made the decision, it came down to like the day before National Signing Day. Both teams held scholarship for me, which was very, very nice on their end because usually they don't hold scholarships. So I knew that they both wanted me.
Right.
One of the schools, one of the coaches said, hey, you can come here and be a star. You can go to Notre Dame and be another brick on the wall. And I'm like, that wall's not a bad. that's not
a pretty cool wall.
Pretty nice. If I can be a part of that wall, I'm good. My name can be mentioned with the Chris Zorich. Hey.
Wow. Well, it's kind of interesting, and I was never recruited by Joe Paterno, but I was fortunate enough to meet him at an event, and I just went over. He was older. I was like, sir. Much respect. My name was Chris Zorich from the University of Notre Dame. He was like, oh, yeah, you're that nose guard. And I was like, what? Now, this is literally, I met him in 2007.
Wow.
Okay. She's like, yeah, you're that nose guard from Notre Dame. I wondered why we never recruited you. And I was like, dude, I felt like I had just won a lotto, man. I was like, and so this dude, and I wasn't even one of his players.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see that, but this dude out of the blue, so I had much respect for the program and for him because he's done some amazing things. But I mean, to have that chance to either go Notre Dame, Penn State, that's
I couldn't have failed. I think I made the best decision for me. Of course, I'm very biased. I'm very pro Notre Dame and things like that. I always make fun of my friends that went to Penn State. But, I respect the university. It's a great university.
Sure. So now I have to ask you this because literally to a T, my recruiting trip sucked. Everybody I talked to, their recruiting trip sucked. It rained, snowed. Please tell me about your recruiting trip and how the hell you decided to go even though you had a bad trip.
Man, my recruiting trip, it rained and snowed on my trip. It was that icy rain that turned into snow later on. I'm like, this, like,
are you serious? I remember,
so my host was Rod Smith, but I hung out with Reggie Brooks.
Okay.
Reggie, and then I got to meet Tony.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
We all know Tony. But Tony made it a little bit fun, him and Boo Williams and all that stuff. But man, recruiting trip really sucked. Like, it was not, like, this is all you guys, like, we hung out in the dorm room. It was like, what the hell? Like, what's going on here? It was horrible. I don't even know why I decided. Like, literally, like you said.
Listen, and then after that, there's academic
Tech, Atlanta. We wilded out. I went like everywhere else. Maybe like even at Duke, I went to the Duke UNC basketball game. Wow. UNC basketball game. So I'm like, hey, I was on the floor for Duke UNC.
See?
And I still chose Notre Dame, man. I don't know.
That's great. So did Holtz do one of those things where because for me, like I had taken some visits and I told him straight up, I was like, look, I'm going to Notre Dame. You can just mark that down. And they're like, well, no, we want you to come to the school and then commit. And I was like, all right, fine. So then I remember going and talking to Holtz, and because I already committed, man, that conversation was like maybe 3 minutes. He was like, okay, and my mom didn't go, so he was like, okay, next. I was like, okay, all right. I shook his hand. I was like, okay, all right, So how was it? How was it for you? Did he have a chance to spend some time with you, or?
I mean, he didn't spend much time either with me, man. I'm gonna tell you the truth. He was like, because I guess probably because my mom wasn't there, so he didn't do the whole sales pitch.
Right.
What he tells the parents and all that. So what he tells your mom and all that when he comes to the house. But I mean, he just said it was a special place. But he went hard on me though to try to commit right then and there.
Okay.
He did the whole, I'm not sure we're going to be able to hold this scholarship for you. We recruit so many other people. We're bringing you in as an athlete, as a running back. We got some good people here, and so he put the sales. He was a hard sales. It was a hard sell. I'll tell you that.
So did you commit then, or
Nope.
You said you waited? So you go back home. Hey, mom, I had a great visit, or hey, mom, I had a kind of shitty visit, but So then what's the process after that? I mean, are you still kind of going back and forth? You're still trying to get some more information, or what was going on?
Yeah, I still took my. I wanted to take my 5 visits. So Notre Dame was one of the first ones that I took.
Oh, okay.
I wanted it to be one of the first. So took that. Went on to the other visits. Had some good visits, like I said. Great time and all that stuff. But it just everything always went back to Notre Dame, and it was weird. It was one of those situations I saw myself walking around the other campuses and saying, no, I fit better at Notre Dame. I fit better at Notre Dame. Like I compared it too much.
Wow.
Where I really should have just been taken in, when you go on the visit. So
right.
I knew in the back of my mind where I wanted to be, where I needed to go. But again, I was being stubborn. I wanted to be able to hold out. I remember Skip flying from the Orange Bowl after that game against Colorado. Flew in and all that stuff right after that to visit me and everything.
Wow.
He had no jacket because he was down in Miami. He had no jacket. I'm like, what are you doing up here, man? This is Philly, bro. It's cold in January. What are you doing? He was like, I wanted to come visit you, see you and all that, make sure that, everything. So that was special to me.
Okay.
Sure. And I got along with Skip. I was a receiver my freshman year.
Okay.
For at least half the season before I made a mistake and got Rick hurt. So Lou told me I would never play again that year. So that's why I moved over to DB.
Oh my God. He literally told you that.
He literally, as I was walking off the field, he said, you might as well go sit down on the bench. That's where you'll be for the rest of the year. You'll never see this field again.
What happened?
And I'm like, and I look at Skip and he's like, yeah, probably.
What happened?
I ran the wrong route. And Rick got sacked. I got Golden Boy sacked, bro.
Really?
I didn't know hot reads, man. I didn't know how to read the defense.
Oh my God.
I was an athlete.
Hey, right. You were a freshman, right?
I was a freshman.
There you go. So that's a great skill.
I saw Phil down as a freshman, man. Hey, but yeah, man, I ran the wrong route.
He was like, you're not going to play.
Yeah, he said, go sit on the bench. You won't never rest of the year. And I already blew past I couldn't redshirt because this was like week 7. So I'm like, yeah, this sucks. I said, and then they had a couple injuries on the defensive side. So I went to Rod Cooper at the time, and I was like, Coop, hey, remember you wanted me to be a DB during 2 days? I was like, I think I want to be a DB.
Are you serious? That's how it happened?
And moved over to defense. Yeah, I was like, forget this. Oh, yeah.
Wow. So was there conversations after that? I mean, was Lou like, well, that's where we always wanted to put you anyway, or?
Oh yeah, that he says that he planned all this.
Of course,
he takes credit for me running the wrong route.
Right. Well, it's crazy because when I was being recruited, I had heard that University of Michigan, who I was going to take my next visit, that they're going to move me to nose guard. So I was like, absolutely not. I'm not playing nose guard at all. I'm a linebacker. What are you talking about? So Holtz was like, yeah, come over and play linebacker for us. So,
yeah.
Same thing.
And then, they all tell you that stuff, man. I remember, man, the guys that were on my visit, man, we had Marvin Harrison come out with me because, he's a Philly kid. So he was with me. They told Marvin they wanted him to be a DB. And they wanted me to be the receiver. So I was like, they got that totally wrong.
Wow.
Penn State did the same thing. Joe Paterno told him specifically he was going to be a DB. That's why he's like, not going there. I think Syracuse is the only place that told him to play receiver. It's crazy, man. Like, these coaches have no idea. They just want to get you on campus.
Right.
When I showed up at Notre Dame, they had a white and a blue jersey. I chose wrong the first time. I didn't choose wrong the second time.
Right. Well, so were the other schools you talked about, University of Pennsylvania, the other school, the other Ivy League schools, were they totally out of the picture, or did you kind of think about those? Or
I'm gonna tell you this one is they came in. Remember, they don't give scholarships,
right.
So I mean, dude, single mom, like I was saying, I wasn't going to put that pressure on my mom because I know she would have tried, even if I would have, went there. I didn't know too much about financial aid or anything.
Right.
Like, didn't really go into depth with them because as soon as I heard that there was no scholarships, I said, well, I'm gonna go to a school that I'm going to at least be able to go for free, and take that financial burden off of my family. So yeah, they were out of the picture after the big leagues came. I mean, especially after Pitt, I was like, yeah, thanks guys.
Well, no, why not? I mean, if you're able to say, hey, I can get a full ride and again, pay for everything. And I'm sure they had some scholarship money for academics and stuff like that. But
no, they don't get academic or athletic scholarships. So you have to get like secondary academic scholarships, not academics through the school. But yeah, my son just graduated from. He played ball at Columbia.
Wait a minute, hold on. Time.
Yeah,
you have to go out and get your own.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I mean, they have financial aid.
Right, exactly.
There's financial aid for you have to fill out and all that FAFSA and all that stuff and everything. But yeah, bro, there's no academic scholarships either. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
Well, so I mean, that had to be great, though. I mean, literally, you're able to kind of live vicariously.
Oh yeah,
Ivy League through your kid. That's awesome.
My kid. So yeah, I got a taste of the Ivy League. I mean, they got a lot more money. I said they got they got more money from me than Notre Dame.
All right, so freshman year, you switch positions. I mean, what was it like? For me, it was kind of an eye-opening experience, kind of going from South Side of Chicago to Notre Dame campus.
Yeah.
How was it for you? I mean, we talked about kind of racing cars as kids. Yeah. I'm assuming it was a little different when you went.
Well, it was a transition. So earlier in my life, I lived in the city. Then we moved out to the suburbs, and then I said I moved to Notre Dame. So it was like a transition for me. I would say, it got a little bit more, boring. I guess or not boring. It's just different lifestyle.
Right.
You know how campus is and everything. It was great. I'm still best friends with some of the guys I met my freshman year. It's just crazy. Not just athletes either. Just regular students from Notre Dame. So I had a great experience. I think it was the year I sat out, my second year when I had back surgery.
Okay.
And the doctors told me I would never play football again. So my mindset changed. Yeah. I was born with a slight case of spinal bifida, so was missing a piece of my spine. Didn't find out till I went to Notre Dame.
Of course.
But I'm gonna tell you this is if I would have went to some of those other schools, my scholarship would have been pulled. Because remember, Notre Dame gives you a 4-year commitment.
Right.
Everywhere else is 1 year renewable. And people don't realize that. And I didn't realize that until, Coach Holtz. I remember when I found out, he said, "Don't worry, you will graduate from Notre Dame."
Well, but what's that conversation like? I mean, I'm assuming you're fighting back tears and you're talking to mom and stuff like that. I mean,
it was the worst. I mean, everything just got pulled from me. The doctors came in. Jim Russ, he was like, he was always there by my side and everything, and he became like a surrogate dad to me, man, almost because I spent more time with him than anybody on the team. And, the doctor said, you have about 10-15% chance of ever playing football again if you get surgery now. If you don't get the surgery, you will not play. So I had, took bone from my hip, fused it, my L5-S1, my lower back, put two plates, 4 screws and wire, and have about a 10-inch scar on my back, but was able to somehow, I think I was too – even though, they say I was a smart kid, engineering major and all that, I was too dumb for the stats were against me. Like, I didn't realize that was a big odds against me, but I just kept at it, man. And Notre Dame supported me the whole way. They put me up in the infirmary. They flew my mom in for my surgery. It's, the things that they did, made sure she was there, made sure she was involved in the whole thing. In the decision of going to have the surgery and all that. So it was a scary time in my life. I was 18 years old, man. It was scary. And the one thing I'm gonna tell you this is, and you realize this when you're done with football too. The one thing I was scared of most is not having that camaraderie with the football players, with my boys, especially my classmates, the guys, because we were freshmen. So we just went through a summer together and everything. And, this was in September of my sophomore year. And, I'm like, dude, like I literally just moved in, moving into a dorm with one of the players, one of my best friends, and I'm just like, oh, bruh, like, just taken away from you. Like, literally, I just was like, my world was changing.
I mean, was was it something that happened in practice, or
actually it was crazy?
Woke up the wrong way,
my freshman year, never knew I had it. I was born with this,
right?
So I didn't know about it. My legs were going numb sometimes when I ran track in high school, and that's why I didn't run. My senior year, I stopped running track. Okay. I was like, hey, I already got a scholarship in Notre Dame anyway. So luckily, I'm gonna tell you this: how luck happens, or how thing happens for a reason. How God had His hands on me is that stuff happened in high school, but they didn't diagnose it. So when I got to Notre Dame, I thought I was fine. Played football, no issues whatsoever. I go run indoor track, my legs hurt, so I'm like, I can't do indoor track. We were doing, early morning workouts, right? Going through all of it. At the end, my legs go numb. Both legs go numb, and I fall. And I'm like, they're like, what's like? They were like, oh, we got another one. He passed.
Right.
My legs went numb but my legs went numb from a position. I was like, nah. I was like, guys, my legs are numb. Like, I can't feel them. They were like, oh, you're just. So then Jim Russ was like, all right, let's go get you, some x-rays and all that stuff. And x-rays come back, which I got x-rays in high school, but they didn't diagnose it. I got x-rays back, and they were like, you need to go get an MRI. There's some stuff going down there that we don't see. Like, we don't see a piece of your spine. Like, there's a defect there. And I'm like, I knew there was something. I knew it, but, I didn't think of it. So I got the MRI. And they're like, yeah, son, you're not playing anymore, basically. They were like, your career is over, basically. Yeah. It was crazy. It was crazy. They were like, well, we could try to strengthen it up. So spent the summer strengthening up with Jim and all that stuff, everything. And then, like, at the end of the summer, I was just like, I can't do this. I can't play. And, the doctor was like, well, if you get the surgery now, it'll be on Notre Dame's dime. Notre Dame will pay for it, and you have a possibility. Like, there's a slight chance that you might be able to play. And I'm like, all right, let's do it.
So, did you get any pressure from the coaching staff or anything?
None whatsoever, really? Man. They didn't. I mean, you got a kid with an 18-year-old kid with back, a back injury. No, they were just like, and that's why, like I said, that's what Lou Holtz said to me. He was like, you will graduate from the University of Notre Dame. You don't have to worry about it. There was no pressure whatsoever put on me to have the surgery. None.
You are listening to the Zorich Podcast with our guest, Shawn Wooden. So, I mean, you had to feel like as a sophomore, 18, 19, 20 years old, that, this shit sucks, but somehow I made this great decision. Because if I was at anywhere else, I'd be back home. I would get the surgery and I'd be done. Hopefully, maybe become a high school football. I'm joking about that part. But the idea that, how did you spend that time?
Like I said, that first semester I was in the infirmary, and regular students would come, like guys from that was in my dorm my freshman year. And the messed up thing is, check all this that happened to me. So I have surgery. I'm off the football team, and my dorm turns from a men's dorm to a women's dorm. Kavanaugh. It was a men's dorm. And so we got kicked out of it. So I'm out of the dorm. I'm in a new dorm. I was like, dude, this is too much going on here, bro. Like,
oh my God.
And then I'm still taking classes. So I'm going from the infirmary to classes in the golf cart because they don't want me walking because I had a brace from my lower all the way down to my leg. So I'm going to classes. The football players was still my damn golf cart.
Of course.
So that's why at least they still felt like I was part of the team.
Exactly.
Because I still got hazed by them. Like literally, they would take my damn golf cart. So.
Oh my God.
Yeah, man. It was a crazy time in my life. But luckily, I was only, like I said, I was 18, 19 years old. I didn't know any better.
Sure.
And I just made it work. Like it worked. It just became my life, That's what it was. I was rehabbing every day with Jim, trying to see if any chance that I would be able to play.
I'm assuming before you think about playing, Jim is like, hey, we want you to be able to play with your kids when you're 30.
Yeah,
walk all this other stuff. What was that like?
Yeah, that was the main worry, is being able to, like I said, if I had kids.
But of course, you're 18, 19 years old. I want to play.
Yeah,
right.
They
got kids. I want to play.
No, they're talking to me like, hey, well, when you're 40, 45, I'm like,
I'm 18.
What are you talking about? I'm not even going to get there, man. I'm all right.
Oh my God.
I'm trying to live life now, man. Nah. Like, they said something. The doctors was mentioned about, when you're 40, 45, 50. I'm like, dude, you're not talking. I'm 18 years old, 19, bro. You got to realize who you're talking to here. But yeah, I wasn't worried about that stuff. That's why I was too much of a knucklehead, man. I was running down the halls with my brace on and all, chasing people, being dumb. I think that's what helped me come back faster, because I did heal and get the brace off a lot faster than what they said I would. By months. So luckily, I was very fortunate and very blessed to be able to heal fast.
So you're going through rehab and everything. So at what point, is Jim not necessarily giving you the green light, but he's seeing some progress?
I would probably say like November, December that year, about 4 or 5 months into it. It might have been when we came back from, it was when we came back from, Christmas break. Well, okay. When the regular students came out, the football players, they all went to the bowl game and all that stuff and everything. Even though I did go to the bowl game. There
you go. Okay.
But, they did their own thing. And, so when we came back on campus, I was like, what do you think? How do you know, what do you think this is going to go? And he was like, hey, I think there's a possibility here. I think we might be able to get you back on the field. And he worked hard, man. Like I said, he busted he made sure I stayed positive, because he would see me down.
Right.
He see me cry about, stuff, just missing the team, missing being around it, not going in there. Dude, I wasn't even going to the weight room or anything. Like, I wasn't doing anything, winter workouts or any of that with the team. Dude, I didn't even go to games that year, so it was rough. It was hard. No, so it was pretty, because Lou didn't want me to get hurt on the sideline, because I could barely move, because like I said, I had a brain.
Right, of course.
Lou was like, no, you can't come. He's like, sit your butt down, basically. Go. But Skip was always positive with me, and the other coaches were always positive. They see me, they always be upbeat. And my teammates, man, they were great. They were great. They were saving me. They saved me, man. Because I could easily fell into depression, but
absolutely,
they weren't letting me, dude. I'm sitting in the infirmary by myself, for a whole semester, and they made sure somebody was there with me every day. Coming by after practice, before practice, during classes, all that stuff, everything. Yeah, it was a cool experience, because I got to really experience what Notre Dame was about.
Sure.
We weren't just football players to that university, and that was very important to me.
And you have a perfect example. There have been other guys who I've talked to who, are pissed off at Holtz because they didn't play. So, forget Notre Dame, forget that place.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, did you come there? Because I didn't come there to play. I came there because Notre Dame is a great institution. I can care less if it was Coach Holtz or Bob David or whoever, because I had a chance to get a free education. If I had a chance to play, that's great. But again, totally different time. Now people are checking transfer portals and seeing who's going to be there and all this other stuff. I was like, look, man, it's the best school's going to offer me an opportunity, so why not? But I can't imagine how having a chance to be involved in a team for so long and then having that taken away.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, guys who come by the infirmary, people in the dorm. You had a chance to be, and this is kind of an interesting conversation, because I've had this conversation with Tony Rice that, he wasn't allowed to do anything. Obviously, it was a different circumstance, but he couldn't practice. He couldn't even he could do anything.
Yeah.
And so he was saying that actually, outside of winning and everything else, but he enjoyed that year so much because he had a chance to be a student. So I'm assuming that's kind of like what's like for you.
That was the same as, even though, like you said, it was taken away from me, the same grace is, like I said, I got to experience Notre Dame life. Like, I got to experience that. And a lot of football players don't get the experience.
No, not at all.
They don't get to experience that. So it was pretty cool. It was a pretty cool experience.
Okay, so now Jim's now giving you the green light. Obviously didn't throw you in. what was kind of like having to run wind sprints again? What was it like your first contact? What was all that stuff?
So it's funny, man. It was, because I didn't go through spring ball and all that stuff. The summer we were just working out, running and things like that. So, my first hit contact was actually in two-a-day, when we come back in the summer and all. And I remember my first contact. My first contact is I went up for an interception, but legs got taken out from under me, and I fell on my back. And I just laid there. And everybody's like, like you could hear everything. And I'm like, am I okay? Am I not okay? I'm like, and then I'm like, okay, I can move. I can get up. And then I jump up, and everybody's like, oh. It was so crazy, man, because you could tell like everybody was like, what's going on? Is he okay? Is he going to be, are we going to have to get the ambulance, basically cart this guy off the field? And it was weird. Then Lou played his mind games with me. He made sure I was okay and all that. But then, he started playing his mind games with me, that tough love he gives you. It was just some things. We had a lot of tension from me coming back that year and trying as hard as I was to come back.
Really?
And, he didn't name me start, even though I thought I should have been, but because of the missed time and all that stuff and everything. So, this is my junior year. And he was like, he called me a bandwagon, this and that and everything. Oh, he does mind games and all that. To the point of, dude, I was about to quit. I was about to quit playing football because I was like, hey, you can't take my scholarship. You can't do that. And he pushed me, and he was like, that's what I wanted to see from you. I wanted to see you fight for this. I'm like, me coming back from back surgery.
That wasn't enough.
That's not enough.
Oh my God.
He was like, I just didn't want you to show up and think that you accomplished something. You know what I mean? So he pushed me even further, man. He gave me that edge that that I needed to play that year.
Well, as you know, you are not alone. He did the same with Pat Terrell.
Yeah.
He was like, I don't need you anymore. He did the same. He did something with Stan Magala where he told them that, I think this was like during spring practice. He was like, you might as well transfer because you'll never play here. Wound up starting next year and winning, basically doing what you did against Florida State. He did against USC by his own return a touchdown. It was crazy. So he has a history of doing that to folks, man. It's crazy. And then also, there are a lot of guys in my class who, wound up leaving.
Yeah.
Because they didn't like the way, he coached. They didn't like the way, he was trying to kind of motivate them. And we had some great players who wound up going to some other schools and playing really well.
Yeah, that's going to happen. He has his way. That's the whole way. That's the way he knew how to do it. But dude, he would push. He would push buttons, bro. Like I said, we weren't cool for a while.
Wow.
I was like, man, I'm gonna play in spite of you.
Right? No, seriously, yeah. Yeah,
like
I've had a couple situations like that, but yeah, there were. Pat for sure was like, "What? What?" And then Stan was like, "You want me to what? You want me to leave? I'll never play here again." And yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy.
Yeah.
All right, so now you're a junior in '93, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Junior in '93.
So obviously you guys are playing well,
mm-hmm.
And this is something where, and you're famous for this, and I gave you shit for this before we came out because Pat Terrell kind of makes his joke as well because you had this amazing play, and Pat had an amazing play, and he's like, y'all know I like played in other games, I went to NFL, you know that, right? You know that, right?
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things. So I'm going to force you to talk about it, but really I want to really hear the perspective of, and this was what I talked to Pat about, was for him, it was like silent.
Mm-hmm.
And so he just kind of felt like he was in slow motion. Now, I mean, he says that now, and normally it was just shit was just in fast speed anyway. I mean, had the person caught the ball, he'd be like, I don't know what happened. But please kind of set it up for us, because you're talking about, actually talk a little bit about the hype kind of going into that game. So what we're talking about is literally the game of the century, which is Notre Dame is ranked number 2, Florida State's ranked number 1, and they came to South Bend. But talk about that week, because, I mean, when I was talking to other people at other big games, they're like, dude, on Tuesday, we're walking out of practice, and fans are there on Tuesday.
It was crazy, man. You know, the parking lot, you would see the RVs started showing up. Like you said, on Tuesday, we're like, we don't play till Saturday. And you got to think it was the first college game day ever. That was that game. That's when college game day made it. So ESPN was on camera. We were like, what the hell is on? Like, what's going on here? You're not used to. I mean, we used to. Of course, Notre Dame. We're used to being televised. We had the ABC contract, NBC contract and stuff like that. But you weren't used to this type of hype this early in the, that's when Lou started bringing out the newspaper clippings and all that stuff. Them talking so bad about us. Right. He told us exactly what he was going to do. He's like, guys, I'm gonna tell him that we're not good. We shouldn't be on the same field. But that's his little stick he does, and he puts it out there. Which
a lot of folks don't know, because I mean, like literally, he'll come into the team meeting room and say, guys, I'm going to tell the media this.
Yes.
I know you're a lot better, but just when you look in the paper, you don't get pissed off. But folks don't understand, because a lot of my friends were like, dude, Holtz was ass. I'm like, actually, in team meetings, he told us what he was going to do.
Yep. He'll tell you we're going to go kick their ass.
Right. Exactly.
He can beat them. It's just, I'm going to say this in the paper, and they're going to buy into it. Like, I don't know if it works or not, but Florida State was buying in. They came in all hype and all lackadaisical that first half. We punched them in the mouth, bro. I mean, but they were good. And they took it. They came back. They started coming back.
Hold on, man. I want to talk about when you're going to class. I mean, lunch. I mean, was it one of those situations? Did you know?
I don't know if I made class that week.
I don't even know if I went to class that week. I don't even know. I mean, because when I was talking to Rick about it, Rick Meyer, he was like, man, we just knew something was special. I'm sorry, not Rick Meyer. But they were talking about how they knew how special this was. And it wasn't like Holtz was like, hey, this is a special game. No. But you just knew, you walked straighter. You in practice, you held the ball tighter or whatever.
Exactly. We practiced hard that week. You just knew, like I said, we watched film of Florida State all year and all that stuff, everything. We saw how good they were. You saw all the newspaper clippings. You seen them all over, TV and everything. And like I said, campus was crazy. And then, students are selling their tickets for hundreds and hundreds of dollars. And I'm like, dude, where can I get some extra tickets at? I need to make some money for the Humble Burgers and all that. But I mean, it was just crazy, man. It was the excitement that from just the students were starting to party out in the in the quad and all that stuff and everything outside and all. They started partying, I think, Wednesday. It was an amazing experience on campus and to be a part of. It was pretty special, man.
And that's what I think, because there's 105 guys on the team, right? We include the walk-ons and everything else. And I mean, everybody experienced that. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't just like, hey, you're one of the 11 starters on the field at the time. But literally, this is a group thing. I mean, when you see each other across the quad, you're giving each other that nod, like, yep, this is it, man. This is it. And for it's cool, because when you're at Notre Dame, obviously not everyone had a chance of playing the game of the century, but it really seems like a lot of the games are like that. It's those important big games where hey, this is not Navy.
Yeah, exactly.
And that, this is a different week of practice. And everything's different. And when you're able to experience that again with a group of guys, I mean, that's the stuff that and it's interesting you said this, because one of the fears you talked about having when you had your injury was, what if I'm not part of that team?
Yeah.
Where's the camaraderie at? And I think this is where it gets so special, because I don't care if you're a walk-on, third-string player, whatever it is, you have the same type of experience. I mean, it's different. It feels like it's in the air.
Yeah, it's in the air. And I think that game, man, we dressed everybody that we could. You know, Lou packed our sidelines with players. It was crazy, man. And you know, you said that, and I didn't even think about that, is things could have been a lot different that year for me if I'd never made it back.
Right.
You know, that's damn, yeah.
We would have lost the game. That's really how crazy it is. Well, right. but that's really how crazy it is, because, you know, something that, I mean, imagine had you not worked as hard, or you would have been satisfied with just being able to, hey, you know what? I'm at the point now where I could put my kids when I'm 30, 40 years old, so I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to class. We had some guys that got injured. That's what they did.
Yeah. Yeah.
They just never came back, which, again, fine. They didn't take the scholarship.
That was their life,
Graduated, they were good. But imagine what happens in the whole sphere of, like, Notre Dame lore and shit. So now you're one of those ghosts. You're in the tunnel now, right? So when you walk out, it's like, you know, you're part of that.
You feel it.
Because if not for you, I mean, who knows what would have happened, right?
Yeah.
Or not even talking about the play you made, which we have to talk about. I'm sorry, I'm kind of getting fired up. But the onside kick you recovered as well.
Yeah.
I mean, what happens if that bounces? If somebody else is out there, Bobby Brown, whatever, he misses it, or whatever happens, it's a totally different game. So, all right, so go ahead. So talk to us about kind of the back and forth. I know it was kind of like the last couple seconds. There was a bad punt or some shit, so.
Yeah, it was a bad punt, led up to it. You know, like I said, the onside kick. Then we tipped the ball in the end zone, and they caught it anyway to, you know, get into, you know, in position to be coming down for, you know, the win at the end of the game. And I remember there was a play before, and we called a timeout. So we're on the sideline and everything. And Lou was just like, do not let Charlie Ward out of the pocket. That's all he said. And we were like, come on, dude. Like, this dude's been running all outside the pocket.
You got 300 yards running. Come on, man.
So then he also says, no, knock the ball down. Do not try. Because don't go for interception, have it bounce off of you and bounce up in the air and do something like that. So, you know, and just play your position. But he was like, do not let Charlie run around. Man, we get out there. First thing, Charlie breaks the pocket. I see him rolling out. And literally, it's almost like Pat said, man. It started going in slow motion. So I'm seeing them coming out. And, like, it just slows down. You get that tunnel vision where it's like the portrait when only thing that was in focus was him. Like, everything else was blurred out. And literally, I'm like, if this guy runs, I have to stay back, because if he throws, I have to stay back. But if he breaks the line of scrimmage, I won't be able to get to him, and he's going to be able to make it. And so all these things are going through my mind, and literally it seemed like it took forever. I'm out there on a hobbled knee because I got hurt on the onside kick.
All right, explain that first, because I thought that was really interesting. So there was an onside kick.
Yeah.
And I've seen it. I mean, you kind of come up and your knee is kind of bent a little funny.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Well, first of all, if you watch it again, watch Derek Mays, who's behind. As the ball's coming, Derek is supposed to come in front and block the first guy. You see Derek go like this. As I'm getting out. And this is the reason why you have – I was like, what were you doing? I was like, that's why you put a DP.
A protector, right. Exactly.
They kicked it to the protector. So this dude didn't protect me. He's looking at me like, are you okay? Are you dead? I'm getting up. I'm like, dude, I'm staying in the outside. I don't care. You know, well, at that time, I thought that we'd be able to run the clock out and go do what we got to do. Right. And we go 3 and out or whatever happened, bad punt. They come down the field. I'm like, I'm on the side. I'm like, Jim, you got to get me back in this game. And Jim was like, Shawn, you have cartilage damage. You know, we don't know. Your knee's unstable. And I'm like, tape it up. Underneath, tape it. Do whatever you got to do. I'm going back out in the field. So I went back out there, man. I was like, hey. And I don't think Lou knew I was hurt as much as I was, because he probably wouldn't have let me go back out at that position.
Right.
You know, not at the nickel back at that time. I was covering the inside receiver. But, yeah, so I'm on the hobble knee. I'm seeing Charlie Ward, and next thing I know, he just throws it. And it seems like he's throwing it right to me. So all of a sudden I look left and right to make sure nobody was going to come up in front of me to catch it. And what's going through my mind is knock it down, don't go for the pick. I probably tried to go for the pick, but I dropped it. I'm gonna tell you the truth. So this is the first time I admit that I went for the pick. But yeah, I did try to go for the pick, but
oh my God.
I was a DB for too long, man. I just knocked that bad hand. I knocked the ball down. You know, I'm so glad I did too, because if I got the pick, who knows what I would have probably got. My knee would have probably. I probably wouldn't have been playing football ever again.
Wow. Right. Exactly. So, all right. So literally seconds, bam, and at that point, it's it.
Yeah, that wasn't it.
So
we won the game. However, one of my teammates, linebacker in my class, jumps on my back in celebration. And remember, my knee's already unstable. So when he jumps on my back, my knee blows. I blow my ACL out. And that really, really sucks. So I'm on crutches that night after a game of the century. I can't even really go out because I'm hurting and all that. My knees swelled up. I'm like, dude, I can't even go celebrate really like the way I want to. Everybody's out at the bars and all that stuff. I'm chilling and I'm just like, all right, cool. I'm hanging around in the dorm for a little while. I'm gonna try to go out eventually.
Literally, and no offense, but you're the hero of the game.
and
you're in the door with my crutches with a swole knee.
Yeah.
That's bad.
Yeah, that sucks. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. That was pretty bad. But hey, man, it was what it was. Then the worst thing is when I had the surgery to clean up the knee was when we played Boston College. Oh. So we played Boston College. So I'm in the infirmary again, throwing stuff at the TV because we lost the Boston. I was like, come on, man. I was like, and again, that's when it went through my mind of if I was there, would that have happened? So I experienced both. You know, I was there, we won. Right. If I was there, I would have been probably covering, you know, the tight end and all that stuff and everything and helping and I think it could have been a different outcome, of course, because I'm a football player. We all think that we can control the game.
Right. Exactly.
We're that type of athletes and all that type of mindset. But yeah, man, that sucks. So, you know, seeing that number one put up there on Grace and then all of a sudden taken down the next week, I'm like, oh, bro, that sucked.
So what Shawn's talking about is that every time Notre Dame is ranked number one, it's on top of Grace, right?
Yeah, Grace Hall. Yeah.
Grace Hall, they actually fly the banner. It says a number. It's a number one banner, and it's really cool because and some people have some issue with this. Some people say it should only be football, but I mean, being number one, literally in college athletics is hard enough.
Yeah. Exactly.
I mean, and I think once you get older, you realize, man, let everybody enjoy this. So, you know, I mean, obviously we've had basketball teams ranked number one, win national championships. We've got fencing teams. We've had other teams. So,
yeah,
I'm really not concerned about that part. But the idea that it's something that was a tradition for such a long time. So that's what you were talking about.
Yeah,
but it was only up for a week.
It was only up for a week, though. Up for a week. That's it. Yeah.
So now, how long are you? I mean, do you go to the bowl game? I mean, how does that work?
I try to come back to go to the bowl because I didn't have my ACL repaired then. I just had cartilage taken out and all that stuff. So I'm like, all right, I think I could, because they were like, I was like, I think I can do it with a brace. I think I can do it. So I tried to practice for a bowl game and all. And I'm like, okay, I can't do this.
Finally, you're like, damn.
I was like, okay, yeah, this is not going to work. Like, this Don Joy is not giving me enough support. My knee keeps on me. Yep. I'm like, because they always say, some people can play without their ACL. Some people, I've seen very few in my whole life, my whole career of ever playing football. So I tried to come back for the bowl game. Wasn't able to experience it. Still went to the bowl game, of course, and everything. Mm-hmm. I remember one night that the team had parietals and all that stuff. So Lou was checking dorm or checking rooms and all that stuff and everything. Curfew, not parietals, but the curfew. And it was me and a couple other guys that were hurt, not playing and all that stuff. So we didn't have curfew. We're not. I mean, technically, we're just coming as fans and all that stuff. Lou comes in the room. We're doing stuff that we aren't supposed to be doing, drinking and all that and everything. And he thinks that being typically he walks in and sees players, he walks out. So we're like, let's go. The next day, he's like, hey, I'm gonna send you guys home. And I'm like, whoa, coach.
Whoa.
I'm not playing. Like, I'm not playing. Hold on, time out. Like, he was about to put us on a bus. He was about to put us on a bus home, bro. He was about to send us all home.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I'm like, whoa, coach.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
He was like, oh yeah, like then he goes, oh yeah.
That's wrong because he has a history of doing that.
Yeah, that's the thing. We heard he's done that, so I was like, dude, he's going to send us home. Like we're out of here. Like we're going home.
Wow.
And so he realized it, so he never sent it. But yeah, it was tense. And then we did what we had to do in the bowl game against Texas A&M. Mm-hmm. Florida State kept it close. They beat but it was so close that we were like, okay, if it's going to be a close game, there's a possibility that we'll share number one because back then, remember, it was the AP poll and the coaches poll.
Mm-hmm.
The coach. We were like, we'll win one of them, so we'll share it, just like Colorado and Washington did. I think that one year, right? No, Colorado and Georgia Tech.
No, Georgia Tech. Yep.
Colorado and Georgia Tech. They shared it that year. So we were like, okay, we'll share it at least. Nah, man. We knew the coaches we were done. We knew they were going to give it to Lou.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, man. We ended up being number 2. So I always, I see these Florida State guys down here being in Miami and everything. I remember running into Coach Bowden, and I'm like, Coach, man, I was like, that's a nice ring that you got on. It should be mine.
But he had to laugh at that.
Oh, yeah. But it's so crazy, man, because I had that same experience with him. One of my boys, Terrell Buckley, he was getting inducted into the Hall of Fame. So we go up there for him and everything. And Coach Bowden goes, Shawn, why didn't we ever try to he remembered the whole, he was like, but you were a running, he was like, but you were a running back, but you did play some safety. Why didn't we recruit you? And I'm like, wow, this dude, like he remembered my position. I'm already in the league years later. Like, I'm like, wow. It was that same type of experience that you said you had with Protect. Like, I really respected that, man. I was like, man, I wasn't a fan of Florida State, but
right, exactly.
I love you now, Coach.
Right. So you kind of talked a little bit about kind of the league and stuff. So now you have a chance to get drafted. So kind of talk to us a little bit about how your draft experience is, because you've had these ups and downs, literally kind of a life-changing moment your sophomore year. I mean, kind of explain kind of how that emotion was for you.
It was interesting, because, I played with some great guys, and especially in the backfield with like Tommy Carter, Rod Smith, and those guys, and, Jeff Burris, and those guys were getting drafted. They were going early and everything, and, years before me. So I thought I had a chance. I came back for my 5th year to play because of that redshirt year for my sophomore year. So I came back to play my 5th year. We had a decent team. We weren't special. That was the one, we went to, the Fiesta Bowl out there, and that was a debacle against Colorado. And, that was bad. But, that wasn't that. No, my last year, actually, we came to the Orange Bowl, and we played Florida State, and we lost. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
We played in the Orange Bowl that year. That was my last year. That was my 5th year. So we played in the Orange Bowl, and, I got to taste a piece of Miami, and I was like, oh, man, it would be cool. And I remember mentioning, I was like, hey, it would be cool to get drafted here and play. And I guess I put it out there in the universe, because during my whole time, I didn't get invited to the combines. I didn't get invited to any of the Senior Bowl. Everybody thought I wasn't going to be able to play. in the league because of that surgery. They were like, okay, yeah, it was nice that he was able to finish his college career, but this kid has ACL and a freaking back. So it was just real strange, So I was down, Like I said, I didn't get invited to the combines and all. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna work out even hard. Worked out pretty hard. We still had our pro day. All the teams came. The messed up thing is, again, I was a computer science major and all that stuff. So my summer job, I actually worked for a company that the NFL teams were clients of. So the Dolphins were my client, the San Francisco. I used to write the software for their game analysis.
No way.
So I used to do their game analysis software, but also I did their scouting software.
That's hilarious.
And I remember going into my fifth, like that summer, the guy comes to me, he was like, hey, we got to take you off of the scouting part of it.
Wow.
Technically, I had the back door. I could have literally made myself a first round pick.
Right, exactly.
I could easily just, hey, Shawn ran. This I could have went in and literally changed everything for at least 10 teams. I could have done it for. So some of the coaches I already knew because I was dealing with them.
Okay.
So I think that helped me because they knew I knew game analysis. They knew how I was writing their damn software that they were using to break down film. So I'm, like I said, the Dolphins were a client of mine and everything. So, then Jimmy comes down the Dolphins, and I think I took a visit to Green Bay and I took a visit to Tampa Bay. They flew me in just to see, have their doctors look at me to make sure.
Right.
But the Dolphins never showed interest. Nobody else showed interest. So I was like, yeah. So Dick Vitale, he was broadcasting, and he was an analyst and all that. He was like, hey, you should be at the latest a third round pick, but because you're in, you probably won't get picked. So just be prepared. He told me, he was like, hey, I think you can play in the league. I think you can play. And that meant a lot to me as well. So, draft day comes, I'm seeing all these guys go before me and all that. Right. I'm like, dude, these guys can't touch me. And I don't mean to brag, but I was like,
no, absolutely right.
No one better than
half
these guys that are getting drafted. So 6th round comes, Jimmy calls me up and he's like, hey, against my better judgment, I'm gonna take a Notre Dame guy. Yeah, because the whole, him and
right. But you have to be like
that whole thing that you guys started with. I was like, Coach, I never played against you.
Right. Hey, I wasn't there. I was in high school. Really.
I was like, that's what I said. I was in high school, Coach. I don't even know what you're talking about. I was like, Captain, I said, I've never seen that before. I'm sure, acting oblivious to it. So, he picks me and gives me a chance, man. So that's why I'd say to this day, I mean, I really appreciate everything that Jimmy Johnson did because he gave me a chance when a lot of teams wouldn't. And I made it a point to prove those teams wrong. I played 9 years. I tried to get 10 in, but a slip and fall and a couple of discs in my back later, and that's why my career ended is because of a slip and fall on wet grass. That's right. Doing a short shuttle. Yeah. Just working out. Yeah. Doing some testing and I was going into my 9th year and I'm like, I told the strength coach, I was like, dude, you already know what I can do. I don't even know why us veterans are even testing. I said, I'm gonna let these young guys go and get hurt. One of the guys got hurt, and I was like, all right, somebody got hurt, I could go. And I got hurt and career ended. A slip fell, turned the wrong way, and the disc right above my surgery burst. So that's how my career ended. I said, I hit offensive linemen, I hit running backs, I hit exactly from a slip and fall on wet grass.
There you go. I mean, so did you feel something happen
Yeah. I felt something pop and I was like, and then, you felt like I was like, oh, maybe it was just an adjustment and all. That next day I couldn't walk. Yeah, I had so much pain and, I experienced some pains from my lower back and all that throughout my career, it would get tight and all that stuff and everything. I would do everything I could. But yeah, man, I knew something was wrong, but again, still tried to come back. I flew up to California where there was a back specialist, world-known back specialist that actually helped with my lower back when I was in college. He was one of the ones that did, some consultation and all that stuff.
Okay.
Right? And literally, he looked at my MRI. He was like, what year is this for you? 9. He was like, well, you had a good career. And that was it. He was like, nope. He was like, He told me, do not get back on the field. That's when he said, if he was like, you have a kid, I had a son at the time. He was like, do you want to play with him? And he was like, do you ever want to be able to play? I was like, yeah. He was like, well, you're not. He's like, I am not recommending you go on the field. I'm not giving you approval.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. So during that time, I mean, do you have a memorable moment that you had in the NFL that you want to share with us?
No, it was a couple. I mean, I just had great teammates, man. I had a great team. I came in with Zach Thomas, Jason Taylor, Sam Madison. Our defensive backfield, man, was me, Brock Marion, Sam Madison, and Pat Surtain. Wow. It was crazy because 3 of them would go to the Pro Bowl, and I'd be like the fourth, like, hey, guys.
Hey, what up, man?
What's up, man? I would be in Hawaii with them. The one thing is, they would get. I went to Hawaii with them and all that to experience it. But I was an alternate a couple of times, one time, and all that. But no, the thing that I remember most, and it was crazy, it was my rookie year. I'm in the training room just getting some, treatment and all that stuff. Nothing was wrong, just getting extra treatment and all that stuff, making sure. And I get a Western Union telegram. This was 1996. I was like, do they still do and literally it looked like it was printed on that dot matrix computer, like that one that the little dots.
Right, yeah, absolutely.
And there was a letter from Coach Holtz. And this was like right before the season started. Jimmy named me a starter. It was congratulating me and saying how proud he was of me that I stuck it through. And this is what he always wanted from me. And I'm like, wow. Because remember, I told you, me and Holtz.
Absolutely. Right, exactly.
We butted heads, bro. Even though he made me, the funny thing is, we butted heads, he made me a captain. And I'm like, why did this man I don't know why this. I'm like, literally, I said I was going to quit on this guy, and he makes me a captain. And so then I knew, that's pretty much. I knew it was mind games, but that's when I truly knew this dude did care about me. He sent me a Western Union freaking telegram,
which he obviously did not have to do
at all. It was just the weirdest thing, man. And I'm like, that was special. I kicked myself in the ass every day. I should have kept that. I had it for a long time in my locker.
Right.
Like literally, dude, I had it in my locker. It was like the inspiration to be able to go out there and just make it work, And he was like, he literally said, and I remember saying, I'm just proud. You stuck it out. So proud of you, and you deserve, basically, you deserve to be there type of thing.
Crazy, man.
I'm like, wow.
Crazy.
Wow. That was special.
I could imagine. Wow. All right. So now there's a couple things I want to talk about. One, I mean, every time, and I'm on your social media, and I mean, you're currently a financial advisor.
Yes.
Like, how do you have time to do that when I see you doing a whole bunch of volunteer stuff in the Miami area with the Dolphins and stuff like that?
Man, it's funny because, people talk about work-life balance and things like that. And giving back to the community is very important to me. My family, that's what my mom taught me is, you always help somebody out and you always be there for people. People were always there for me when I grew up. I did not get to where I'm at now without stepping on, not a couple shoulders, a ton of shoulders, a mountain of shoulders and all that stuff and everything. I just had the support. So I wanted to be there for my community. And Miami's become, South Florida's become my second home. I mean, I've lived here longer than I've lived anywhere else.
Right.
So I say it's a work-life integration type of thing.
Okay.
Not balance. You don't choose one or the other.
Sure.
I'm very fortunate to have clients and everything that aren't as needy, so I'm able to do an extra thing. They understand I do stuff in the community, and some of my clients, that's how I pick up some clients because they understand I give back to the community. They love that I'm more than just one. Used to be a football player, but and I'm a dad. They understand, man. It's family's important to me, my community is important to me, and my job's important to me. All of them. I'm not going to choose one or the other. I'm going to integrate them all together.
Okay.
And I found a way to be able to do that. I work with a team as well, so it's just not me, Shawn, that you're getting when you hire me. You're getting my team behind me, know, and I have teammates, and there's some great individuals, man. And I've just, like I said, I've been just very fortunate to be surrounded by the right people.
That is fabulous. Well, tell us about your son who just graduated from Columbia.
Yeah, so I have 4 kids.
What was that?
He's the oldest, but yeah, man, he graduated from Culinary. Very proud of him, man. He held it down. You know, it's so funny because he's looking. He played football, but of course, because of COVID, he missed his last year. He wasn't able to play, which sucks because it was going to be his senior year and all that. I was looking forward to Parent Day, being able to walk out there being able to be the parent who walks out.
Sure, right, exactly.
I was like, oh man, that's important to me, man. That's so. But hey, he got his degree, Dean's List. He got a job right in New York working on Times Square as a financial analyst. So he's almost in the same field as me, but now on the same side of it, the field with me as me. But he's a great kid, man. Now I got 3 more. I got another one coming up right now. He's 16 years old. He'll be a junior next year.
Is he playing football?
He is not. So yeah, football is got to wait for a grandkid or not. I got 2 daughters but my one daughter wants to play baseball, so maybe I'll be out there on the diamond and all that stuff and everything. She does.
Well, I mentioned this because there's a New York Times article that I read from a couple of years ago doing research on you. And I mean, this is a very, very interesting subject, not only for you, but for all the former players. And it was interesting because it kind of talked about, at the time, your son was in high school.
Correct.
And it was one of those issues, hey, do I let him play because there's some issues going on with concussion protocol and everything else? Or don't I? So can you kind of share with us a little bit about, one, you were named as
I was one of the class representatives, so the plaintiff. So if you look at the case, it says Shawn Wooden and Kevin Turner versus the NFL. Which they did was they split the all retired NFL players. They split us up into 2 classes.
Okay.
One is the asymptomatic or the symptomatic side. So I represented the asymptomatic, the guys that don't have issues now. Hopefully, you'll never have issues in the rest of their life. But heaven forbid something happens, 65, you're covered for 65 years.
Okay.
That's the time frame that they say. So
right.
It was a 65-year, period that you'll be covered for in case, heaven forbid, anything does happen to you. As far as, TBI, traumatic brain injury, CTE, ALS, any of those type of things where, so it was interesting, man. Like you say, and we made the decision as a family. We sat down, we talked about it. One is, you saw the New York Times article, so I was put out there, and there was some, you're not going to please everybody. And unfortunately, I realized that. And, I was going to get the people, the distractors. I said, well, if you're doing this, how can you let your son play football? And people got to realize, I love the game of football. I love what the game of football did for me. Not as a football player, but as a person. There's more to team sports. And, you have to weigh the pros and cons. And for me, my family, for my son, there was more pros than cons. Is there a possibility that he could get injured? Yes. Do I have more knowledge than we had back in the day?
Exactly.
Yes, I do. Right. I know what a concussion symptom looks like. I know where to be aware of. I understand that it's an injury and it's not that you're just hurt. There's a big difference. And when we played, you got a concussion, you were hurt. You were hurt. Right. It was what it was. You got a ding, you got a stinger, you got this. Get back out there on the field. Here's your helmet, go. Now we understand it's an injury, so we can treat it better. And, if he ever got a concussion, I would have pulled him, where he wasn't getting that repetitive. But is he had a greater chance of getting concussion than the kid that was just going to class? Yes, but that kid going to class can get in the car accident and he can get concussion that way. So it's, we want to wrap our kids in a bubble and protect them as best as we can as parents, but we got to let them grow up too as well. And I thought that his growth would be better experienced through, using team sports and football, a game that he loves as well. So if he can, get that feeling of camaraderie, the team and all that stuff, and I can protect him as much as I can on the injury side, then I'll be there. I would have been, he would have had to worry because I would have been that dad jumping over the fence.
Like my mama back in the day.
I would have been just like mama, baby.
That's hilarious.
It's my baby out there.
Oh my God! Wow.
But
Wow.
yeah, man.
So during that process,
man, that was years. That was years of processing, going to court. I'm gonna tell you this: when you step foot in a federal court, man, that's impressive. It's one, it's impressive. Two, it's scary as hell, and it's so humbling. Like, dude, you're like, yeah, it's. And then Judge Brody, man, she was amazing in this whole case because she really was on the player side.
Okay.
But she wanted to do everything legally. I mean, everything by the law and everything. And she understood that this was going to be a landmark case. This was going to set some precedents that was going to have some serious implications for sports. And that's another reason why I did it, is because thing is, if we do this in the NFL, it's going to be a trickle down. So it's going to go to college. It's going to go to high school, and then it's going to go to Pee Wee football and stuff like that, or Optimus football. So this was going to change the game and how we look at certain things in the game. And it was crazy that they asked me to be part of it, man. And it took. I was nervous. I was nervous and scared, and didn't know. Self-doubting myself, and.
Sure. So how was that process? Did you just
get a
phone call? Right.
Yeah.
Did you just get a phone call to Blue, or did your agent? I mean,
I got a phone call. I got a phone call from the lawyers asking me to come down to speak with them. They were wanting to speak to me about the case and everything and all that. I was already filed as a participant in the case.
Okay.
I actually took the position from a gentleman that passed away. So I wasn't the first class representative on the asymptomatic side, but he passed away, and they needed somebody else. And they thought that I represented a good breadth of the number of people, because you got to think, there's 20-something thousand people in this case.
Right.
At that time, it was only 5 because it didn't really envelop everybody that played the game. It was only people that filed the case for it. Mm-hmm. So at that time, it was only about 5,000 or 6,000, but they felt I was a good representation for that whole class. And hey, are you going to get the exact guy?
Right.
I mean, you got 5,000. How are you going to get somebody that's going to look and talk and act like everybody? And you're not going to do it, dude. Exactly. It's not going to be possible. So, yeah, I was very. They came in there like, think about it. I flew to Philadelphia because actually that's where the case was being held. As a class act. So flew to Philadelphia, saw those lawyers, talked a little bit, those class representatives, lawyers, and talked to them a little bit more, got a little bit more knowledge about, everything they filled me in, what's going on behind closed doors, and, how close are we to this case being kicked out and not being heard anymore because of NFL, because of, antitrust, all that stuff, the exemption, because we're represented by a union that came into it. So I had to, and I'm the type of person that if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. So I'm reading court files and all that stuff, everything. I'm reading things about unions. I'm like, dude, I should have went to law school after this.
You're right.
I was like, I need to get an honorary degree somewhere, man.
Oh my God.
I read the whole settlement. Like, I remember, when the settlement came out, I read like they sent it to me to see what and they didn't expect. They sent it to me with bullet points, all that stuff. And I was like, hey man, on page 123, this is this and that. As they explained, they were like, you read this? I was like, yeah.
Wow.
They were like, what are you doing? So yeah, man, I just wanted to go all in on it. If I'm going to, like I said, if I'm going to do it, and to me, it was a big honor, but it was a big, heavy load on my shoulders as well. Sure. Because I'm like, dude, this is people's lives, and I mean, I think I had the easier class because I'm the asymptomatic. Right. So basically, I just bought an insurance policy for all of us. Mm-hmm. The symptomatic side of it that that really needed to be taken care of. Right. And the case is about. So you might saw the new stuff about the race norming and stuff like that, and people are telling me, "Oh, I'm like, if you truly believe, like, have you looked at me? What would make you think that I would want race norming in this case? Like I said, you get attackers from everywhere, man. It's just, and it doesn't stop. I mean, I think the settlement, working on 7 years now in settlement, and I've been doing this, did a road show for the settlement before it, went to the Super Bowl, talked to guys. Like, dude, this has been a major part of, All right, and I didn't think it was going to be this much.
Right, exactly.
But it's been a major part of me and my family's life now. Like you said, since my son is in high school, and now he's already graduated from college. So think about how long ago was that. It was just one of those things, man. But it was interesting being a part of. It was very interesting. It opened up my eyes a lot to the way this country works and the laws and how companies with their employees and things like that.
Yeah. And then you realize kind of, and we all kind of throughout the initials NFL, not for long, but you really get an understanding of kind of how this was set up, and how certain people or certain issues were literally set up to fail.
And it was disheartening to see. I'm hearing stories of guys, that one was no longer here with us because this or that situation. But other things, man. It was like I say, it was a heavy load on my shoulder. It got pretty heavy at times, man. There was times where I just wanted, I don't feel like I'm a depressed type of person, but there was some depression that felt, that you start receiving because you're hearing stories and especially during the whole thing where there wasn't a settlement yet and there was appeals and all that stuff we had to go through, and was the Supreme Court when there was a time where the Supreme Court was looking to see if they were going to go over the case and everything with the appeals. And I'm seeing guys and I'm hearing stories about guys that are just suffering and families that are suffering, and I just want to get them the money, get them as much, and then I'm hearing now after the settlement, I'm hearing about stories that guys that are getting declined and all, so now I'm part of that. I'm all of a sudden on that. So I'm like, guys, I fought for this. Right. I'm not declining you. Trust me. I want us all, if you need it, to get money. If you need it, please, I'm pleading guys to go, try to get their claims processed done and everything. And, I'm hearing stories sometimes and, I'll call the lead attorney, and he's been very cordial with me, man. He still takes my calls. Right. He got paid a lot of money, but he still takes my calls. He still takes my calls. And
it's interesting. Well, it's not necessarily interesting, but it's great to have the type of representation that you've been able to do. Go out and talk to players, kind of explain. I was a union rep, and when I was in the NFL, and one of the hardest things I had to do was talk to the guys about, and I'm nowhere near about what you're talking to them about.
No.
I'm just trying to get them to participate in the 401k.
Okay.
Dude. And no, by the way, they give you, for every dollar you put in, they give you two.
Two, yeah.
So
and you still have to go, guys.
No one does this.
So now, Chris, just so you know, it's automatic enrollment. So they have to opt out, but they still have guys opting out.
Are you serious?
How do you not have 100% participation? I'm giving you $2. Well, let's not go there.
But it was crazy because it was, and then there was some crazy thing where at the end of the year they gave you like a $5,000 check back because they used the
union dues.
Yes. So now I'm like, well, yeah, you can use that. And they're like, no, man, this is something my wife don't know about.
And they go cash at the check cashing store.
Wait a minute. So they just took out $150 to cash your file. Are you kidding me? Hey, man, she don't know about it. So you so that's why I say I commend you because it sounds like you're a union rep too.
You know who we were dealing with,
dude. It is like you don't, and I think I was at some point I was like at maybe 75 or 80% participation, which was great. Yeah. But, there were teams that were like 50%.
Yeah. Yep.
And I don't think anybody was at 100. But at one point you're like, hey man, do you understand? And they're like, no man, I need my money now, so I don't want to participate. Just give it to me now. And I was like, oh my god.
It makes me think of that's that 18-year-old kid that said, I'm not thinking when I'm 35, 40. I don't want to think that far. But it's just so great. Like I said, is the way it is now too, where as much money as they make. Like, what's $20,000? You make it rookie minimum this year, $660.
Right. Exactly.
You won't miss that, buddy. Trust me.
Right, exactly. And by the way, just instantly, it's now 60 instead of 20. It's now 60 grand.
No,
so guess what? And you all you did was just put your money in.
Yes.
How about that? Imagine doing that every year now. I mean, it's
Oh man, but I heard this, but they won't let me touch that till I'm 45. I'm like, oh, that's that 20-year-old kid.
Exactly. Which I'm sure you see in being a financial advisor, challenging. So one of the last things I want to talk to you about, because you led this really interesting kind of extensive life, is when you think about your mentors. I mean, who would you say kind of influenced you the most kind of during your journey? And I'm going to assume it's your mom. So let's kind of take mom out of it, because my mom was the exact same way. Right, exactly. But I mean, because I'm curious to see, because you've had, I mean, good, you've had bad. So I mean, I think it's really interesting to find out maybe.
It's interesting, to put it on one person. It's doing a disservice to everybody that's ever helped me in my life.
Sure.
But I'm gonna tell you this, man. My great uncle, and it was my nana, my mom's brother. Okay. My great uncle. He was actually one of the first black principals in Philadelphia.
Really?
And he put it in me about education. And to me, that was when the Cosby was on and all that stuff. And actually, they were, his family, the way he lived and all that stuff. I thought he was rich. Right. My uncle, because he had his little, toys and all that stuff. He always had the best, drove a nice car. He was, but he always broke it down to me, and he would make me think. Like, he would always pose questions, open-ended questions. He hated when it was just yes or no. He hated those type of answers and all that stuff. But why? No, he was always a why. And he's the one that actually got me in trouble with my mom so much, because my mom be like, "You can't do this," and I'd be like, "Why? Why? You ask me why one more time, boy." And I'm like, "Well, why?"
Right, exactly.
I was like, but that's how I was taught. That's what I was taught. That I was taught to find out answers, like taught how to ask questions, taught how to answer questions. And he was always there. And I mean, when he passed away, I just felt like it was my job to keep that legacy going.
Wow.
Because I thought that he was great. So it was my job to keep trying to be great, trying to strive for success, and always trying to do it. And to this day, it was that, like, that's his legacy. I'm his legacy. I'm my family's legacy. Trying to keep that going on. So I would say that the most influential mentor I had.
Okay.
That every aspect, because I took his teachings not only onto the football field, but into life, into the classroom, into what I do today, dealing with my clients, dealing with, my community, everything. When I go overseas, I've done some military tours, going overseas to see troops and all that stuff and everything. Like, it's all that. It's because of how he taught me, how he helped raise me, and they say it was a village that raised me. But he was that one person that was there always. And
that's amazing.
To this day. Yeah.
That's amazing. When did he pass?
A long time ago, man. He passed when I was in college.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's awesome. Well, dude, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. I apologize if we went a little bit over.
No, man.
But I mean, it's so intriguing when and I kind of selfishly love doing the podcast, because I have a chance to learn so much about the guys that I've known for a long time, guys I've played with, some of the guys I haven't played with. One of the interviews I did was with Tom Gatewood, and he talked about how he was one of the first black captains at Notre Dame.
Yeah.
And really what he had to go through when they announced him as being the captain. I mean, it's not so much.
Oh, wow.
And then he talked about a story about how they went to go play Georgia Tech, and they stopped the team from going in the hotel, talking about, you have several black players. We don't work with black people. And who was it? Era was like, hey, unless you want, so he wanted to squash from that. So he just had a really interesting story. But then you would assume, hey, Notre Dame fans, everything else. He was talking about Chris, that was the hardest thing he had to go through because, they didn't have voicemail back then. They had a phone, and people would call his room, talk about, you don't deserve it, blah, blah, blah. I mean, so imagine, so it's like hearing stories like that makes me appreciate kind of our experience that we had. But then you have individuals like yourself who kind of talk about the resilience that, we have as a Notre Dame community. And, you took it upon yourself to make sure that you were going to get on that field.
Yeah.
And that's something that, I mean, I knew that you had an injury. I didn't realize how serious it was. So for me, selfishly, I enjoy doing this and kind of allowing our listeners to have a chance to kind of see, like, really beyond the helmet.
Yeah.
Because we didn't necessarily, I mean, obviously you had a phenomenal play, but we didn't talk about how many tackles you had in the game or, how many touchdowns you may have scored, but it's the things leading up to one of those most important games. And then, matter of fact, how you felt when you were injured. And at one point your biggest fear was not being part of the team.
Yeah.
And you had no fault of that was on you. I mean, you just, and that's, I think, what a biggest part of what happens when people don't prepare when their careers are over. Correct. Is that not only do they not hear the crowd anymore, but they've been part of that camaraderie in that locker room for the last, hopefully, 20, 25 years or whatever it is. And then all of a sudden it's gone. Mm-hmm. And now you're like, whoa, you mean I have to have a conversation with my wife and kids? Wait a minute. Okay. I got to do this? Yeah. So it's really interesting.
I got to spend some hours with them. It's not, hey, baby, how you doing, kids?
Right, I'm out. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so man. I just wanted to thank you very much for this opportunity.
I appreciate you giving me the time, man. Like you said, being time just to tell my story and show people who I am. But also, man, I view your podcast to get to know the guys that, like you said, that you play with. You be like, oh, there's more to them than you knew. Exactly. Off the field, or guys like yourself and Rocky. I remember that interview with Rocky, like right before me. That was at the school right before I got there, and just to get to know their story because I knew Rocky. Remember, I was in high school watching them,
of course,
return punts and being the fastest man out there and everything. It was so. It's great that you have this podcast. One is for, like you said, for people to get to know the player without the helmet or the person versus the player. But people got to realize this, man. Football is what we do. It's not who we are.
Right.
And, it's a big part of who we are, but it's not everything. It's taught us a lot, and we're more complex. We're normal day people too. We put our pants on, man, just like everybody else. And, got to pay our bills every month.
Yes, sir. Yes, we do. I would like to thank Shawn Wooden for this great opportunity. I'd also like to thank everyone watching and listening to this episode of the Zorich Podcast, Conversation with Leaders and Legends. I also like to thank my wife, Candy, for helping me put the show together, as acting as my director and producer, because without her, I would not know what the hell I'm doing, believe me. This podcast, along with our other podcasts, are on my YouTube page at youtube.com/ChrisZorich50, as well as on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts. Also, please check out the description below. We have some books by some of the folks who have participated in the podcast, like Coach Holtz, Joe Montana, and Jerome Bettis. Shawn, this has been great, man. Thank you. So I've learned so much, man. I really appreciate it. And one of my biggest fans, I'm bragging about saying this, and every third or fourth one I do, I'll get a call from Pat Terrell, and he's like, "Dude, I don't know. Hey, I played with him. I didn't know that." So I'm sure I'm going to be getting a call after this because you did some great. You talked about some great stuff. So thank you very much. Man. I appreciate that.
If you hear from Pat, man, tell him I said hi, bro.
I shall. Thank you.
To the second best play ever. Bye.
All right, son. Go Irish.
Oh, go Irish, baby.
All right.